Hey team, and welcome back to another video in our Astrological Magical Elections video series. Today we are going to talk about our magical electional opportunities that we are going to have between our Libra Solar Eclipse on the 14th of October till our Taurus Lunar Eclipse on the 28th of October. I'm joined here by Lee, who is going to cause problems. And then there's some other cats yonder who may or may not make appearances. So we're going to talk about electional opportunities that we're going to have, but we have very little, very little, which is never super fun when we don't have a whole lot to talk about. But, you know, it is what it is, and sometimes it's just kind of what we have to deal with. So what is it that's kind of getting in our way? What's making electional opportunities so difficult to come by now? Because this is like our third or our fourth video where we've had this problem. And I think the big thing is just Jupiter and Saturn being retrograde. When we have retrograde planets, there's a lot less we can do with them. Basically, we can't do anything with them. So with Saturn and Jupiter retrograde, that's two planets that the moon, can't apply to, which for Saturn isn't a super huge loss because we don't super go to Saturn very often for things, only like really specific things. But Jupiter is a big hit. Like that's a big hit to take because we go to Jupiter a lot. That also means that the sign Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are signs that we can't use as ascending signs because we don't like it when the ruler of the first house is retrograde. And that's literally like a consecutive third of the zodiac that's out. So even if we do have good moon applications or something, if those signs are on the ascendant, we can't use it. Mars being close to the sun is another kind of an issue. That'll fix itself soon. And then finally, Venus being in Virgo is another annoying thing because that means we can't have Libra rising. Because with Libra rising, Venus in Virgo will be in the 12th house, and we don't like it when the ruler of the first is in the 12th either. So, just a few things kind of getting in the way. But, I've got 2 elections to share with you all, which, might be pretty good considering it's in between eclipses. But, we generally like more than that. But let's go ahead and kind of jump into it and get it over with. Like I said, I've got 2 elections for you guys this week, or this lunation. One of them is going to be kind of everywhere. Everywhere should be able to get this one. And then the second one is going to be a Western European exclusive. So we have 1 election for everywhere, and then Western Europe gets 2. That's the big winner. That 2 is the big winner. So our first electional opportunity is going to be for the 23rd Lunar Mansion. And the 23rd Lunar Mansion is a fun one in that it is one that we kind of look for more in the waning moon phase because it's kind of one of those unique ones that can be worked very well, like for positive things in waning moon phases, which can be a little bit rare sometimes. But the 23rd Lunar Mansion is one that is useful for health concerns primarily. During the waxing moon phase is what we're going to use it for. So we're going to use it more for its potential healing properties, its ability to kind of fight back illness or get rid of illnesses that are afflicting the body. It has other uses, but those are more that we would lean into more in the waning moon phase. So here we're kind of being very specific with how we use it. So for North American continent, this election is going to take place on October 21st at around 8:18 in the morning. And what we're going to look out for here is we're going to look out for a Scorpio rising because Mars is doing well here in its own sign, angular in the first house. And the moon is going to apply a square to the sun. So I tend to prefer sextiles and trines. Squares to more benefically aligned planets like Jupiter, the Venus, and the sun, are perfectly fine. They're just not quite as easy, not quite as like high quality, I guess we would say, as squares are. But the sun is a great planet when it comes to healing just because the sun is all about sort of like the vital force and kind of helping us to increase it, to help it travel throughout the body, which helps us be more healthy in general. Overall, the chart's just kind of okay. I wouldn't really say it's something to like write home about. And if you have a 23rd Lunar Mansion talisman already, it's probably best to just stick with what you have. But if you don't and you need something, this can get you through it. I wish the sun were more angular. That's kind of my biggest complaint. But Mars in Scorpio as the ruler of the first house is really strong. Is a really strong candidate. Like I'm very happy to have just like a really strong ruler of the first house in any sort of health concern. I think that's very, very nice when you can get it. The 23rd Lunar Mansion talisman in Western Europe and Northern Africa is going to look like the exact same as it does in the North American continent. Here you're going to have excuse me, the moon in the 23rd mansion in the 3rd house. She's going to still apply that square to the sun, and Mars and Scorpio are going to be on the ascendant. So we're going to kind of hit our same big things here to kind of keep that all. And, you know, it's still the same as the North American version. If you already have a 23rd Lunar Mansion talisman, it's probably better than this. But this is something to get you through until we have something like a little bit more obviously better to work with. That's sort of the theme for these. I feel like that is kind of the theme. I was going to make it a joke, but I do feel like that is kind of the theme for these past few lunations. It's just like, this is good enough. This is going to have to be good enough because it is. It's just all we got. Which is not super, like, motivating, you know? It's not like nobody ever gets out of bed for, like, good enough. So I guess it's great that this isn't happening at night, like over, like in the like early morning hours, to where somebody'd have to wake up for it, because I'm not sure I would say it's worth waking up for. And then finally, for the 23rd mansion, our Australian version of this chart is going to look a bit different from the Western Europe, North African, and North American charts. In this chart, we're mainly focused with the moon in the 23rd mansion on the midheaven. At the same time, she's still making that square to the sun. And Mars is still going to rule the 1st house, this time from the 7th with the Aries ascendant rising. And this takes place on October 21st at 1735. So this one does look a little bit different. I think I like this one a little bit better just because the moon gets to be way more angular, which is great. We still have this connection to the sun. It's now in an angular house, which is kind of what I wanted from some of the other ones. So I do like this one a little bit better because we're able to get sort of the luminaries angular, which is great. And, you know, still the ruler of the 1st house is still technically angular, even though it's kind of further into an angular house. So overall, the Australian version of this chart is an improvement and kind of hits some of those notes that we would have liked the earlier ones to hit as well. And our final election for this video is going to be for the 22nd Lunar Mansion. So I kind of skipped up a bit there. But the 22nd Lunar Mansion, and this is going to be like a Western Europe, North African exclusive. But the 22nd Lunar Mansion is a mansion that is very much focused on like freedom and escape, helping us kind of like make paths out of situations where we feel stuck or trapped, or just like places where we don't feel like we need to be anymore. This can also be used for healing, kind of like getting out of or like escaping from pain and illness. It can be used for, you know, like finding a better job, finding a better place to live, finding a better relationship that more aligns to what you're after, that kind of thing. The 22nd Lunar Mansion is very flexible, which is very good. And so just sort of like as long as you feel like you're stuck in a thing, the 22nd Lunar Mansion can help you get out of it, unless it's cat ownership, which the 22nd Lunar Mansion is powerless to assist you with. So you're just stuck with little furry creatures tormenting you and getting in the way when they shouldn't. Look at that furry monster. But like I said, this is going to be a Western Europe and North African exclusive because they are the only ones who are going to get the moon to be in the right place at the right time to get the most out of this. And it looks very similar to the 23rd Lunar Mansion that will be happening. This takes place on October 20th at 8:46 a.m., so just before 9 o'clock. And we have the moon in the 22nd mansion, very fresh into the mansion, in the 3rd house, and she's applying the sextile to Mars in Scorpio, which I really like this connection, especially if one of the reasons why you feel kind of stuck in this in whatever situation is because you feel like you're not able to really like express or assert yourself appropriately to let yourself be heard or let your needs be known or things like that. Mars is super assertive, which is really great in these situations where we feel like we've been kind of like walked over, you know, like that we've become like a doormat or just sort of like very complacent in a situation that we're not very happy with. Mars rules the 1st house from the 1st house, which is very nice. While he is in Scorpio, again, we have just that very strong Mars who's ready to like finally take control, especially coming from Libra where Mars has no control over that situation. So a definite improvement in Mars's condition here that can be used to hopefully help you improve whatever condition it is that you are struggling with right now. But all right, everybody, unfortunately, that's all I have for you guys for this 2-week period. There's just not a whole lot going on. Hopefully next lunation we'll have more to go with, but knowing that that's a waning moon and that Jupiter and Saturn are still going to be retrograde makes me a little bit less optimistic. But no matter what goes on there, we'll make sure to cover something here. One kind of interesting thing that's happening during this time is the moon will be super void, what's traditionally referred to as feral. The moon will go from 15 degrees Pisces until 0 degrees Taurus without aspecting another planet, which is a lot, like 45 degrees, which is kind of cool. So if you need just some like flailing around, aimless, wandering moon energy, that's the time to get it. And I think that could be kind of a really interesting astrological configuration to make a talisman of. Obviously, it wouldn't be something kind of super constructive, but maybe very helpful in having people cancel plans that you no longer want to be included in. You know, you say yes to some social engagement and then just don't really feel like you want to go, and then they cancel it. Like, never mind, we can't get together, and you feel great about it all, back into the PJs. But, you know, other than that, I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do with it, but I will see you all again on our Taurus Lunar Eclipse. And Lee will probably be there too. He says yes. But all right, everybody, have a good day.